we must help people with their subconscious. If we're only motivating them in their consciousness, it is a false coaching. So your client, this is the client, right? This is the client. They're having these particular levels of results, and they desire to have this level of results. They want things to be better, but their results are here because they were there. They were there, which then ends up producing these levels of results. Well, then now they recognize, wow, you know what? I want something to be different. I want something to be different. So now they consciously, that's what the C inside the brain right here is symbolizing, is consciousness. So then the consciousness is like, oh, you know what? I want things to be better. So then they're like, hey, I want to really be up here. And so then they're like, you know what? I want to set a goal. So then they set this goal for right here, because consciously they're like, I'm tired of being down here. I really want to be up here. So now your client is like, wow, I consciously want to be here. I should be able to get here. But for some reason, it's not happening. And they're like, wait a minute, I really want this. And I hope for it. I desire for it. I really want this. And I want this to happen, but the results don't move. And maybe we'll give them a little bit, like maybe they move a tiny bit. They kind of fluctuate right here. They kind of go up a little bit. They kind of go down a little bit, but they don't move. And then your client gets frustrated because they're like, you know what? I really wanted to go from here to there. I just want to go from here to there, right? I'm just like, I just want that. But when it doesn't happen, they think something's broken with them. And when they think something's broken with them or something's wrong with them, high levels of frustration come in. And so whenever you hear a client say, oh, I'm so frustrated, or you hear a family member or a friend say, I'm really frustrated. Frustration is the description of what's going on right here in the middle. And frustration is the expectation that the consciousness should be able to drive results to change. And it doesn't happen. That's what frustration is. Frustration is the consciousness of the person going, well, I changed my mind. It should happen. And then when it doesn't, that then generates the emotion of frustration of the whole entire process. And when it's not working, now the client is like, oh, there must be something wrong with me, or I'm not meant to have such a goal, or they're like, oh, goals are stupid, right? So when somebody gets frustrated with this situation, guess what they blame? They blame goals, that goals are dumb. Because if they can't get it, they might as well deny it, right? They might as well reject it. Hey, I can't have that, so I'm going to make it dumb, so I don't really want it. Yeah, so goals are dumb. And so they become an anti-goal person. But the real truth of it is they're frustrated because they thought they could just consciously change. Like, hey, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to lose 20 pounds. Yeah, that's all I got to do is just want to lose 20 pounds and I'll drop 20 pounds. And I have a goal to lose 20 pounds and I'm just going to just make this happen. And consciously they're doing the work, but it doesn't happen. So they're super frustrated. And so they struggle and they're trying, but they hate it because it's not happening, right? I mean, how many times have we seen people go through this, and maybe even yourself, and lots of frustration, and then a lot of bummed out, a lot of doubt, and a lot of discouragement. And because the process that they think is that makes things work is consciously choosing what you want and thinking that I'm going to make it. But what people don't realize is that the frustration is because they're not doing what it takes to change. Sure, they chose a goal, but the biggest part they're missing is their subconscious is hardwired for this particular level of result. The subconscious. People don't think about the subconscious. They don't think, I have to change what's in my subconscious, because that's where the real mind settings are located. They're not in the consciousness. And just because we choose a goal doesn't mean you can get a goal just because you chose it. And so we need to teach the client techniques on how to change the subconscious. The subconscious is what controls heartbeat. It controls all your organs. It controls your breathing. Your subconscious is the powerful part of who you are that takes over everything. It puts you to sleep at night. It gets you up to go to the bathroom. It digests your food. It fights off diseases. It divides cells. It grows hair. It fixes your body when it gets cut or bruised. Your subconscious is the power center. But yet when people want their life to change, they don't think, hey, you know what? I'm going to focus on my subconscious. They only consciously are thinking about changing. And so then when they're only consciously thinking about changing and they're like, oh, I should be able to go from where I'm at to where I want to be just because I consciously want to. And then they find out they can't. And so they're frustrated. They're discouraged. They might even hate on the goals. They might even, become like a naysayer and be like, oh, nobody can change. And these kind of people start to promote, you can't change. But the truth of it is they never even really realize what is it that actually has them set at this level of result. And it's their subconscious. In this Coach Fast Track program, you are learning the essentials of self-mastery. The essentials of self-mastery are the techniques that you use to change the setting in the subconscious. Nothing changes permanently until you change what's in the subconscious. We are hardwired to have a particular result in particular areas of our life because of the way it's set in our subconscious. And so we must help people with their subconscious. If we're only motivating them in their consciousness, it is a false coaching. And that's the problem with a lot of coaches out there in the world. A lot is that they are about motivation and action steps. And sure, they can help their client with action steps get close to their goal. But guess what happens? 2 months later, that person slips back down to where they were. They go back to where they're at because nothing changed in their subconscious. You are learning how to coach people where it counts, where it matters the most is changing the setting in the subconscious. So this is a great story to share with your client of what you do for them and how you are different than the other coaches in the world. Other coaches focus on action steps and motivation. And then they also are focusing on accountability. Oh, I'll hold you accountable to get your goal. And then when they get their goal, they think, oh, I'm totally fine. That person's amazing because I coached them to get their goal. But then 2 months later, they're right back to where they were at. But they don't ever talk about that because if you don't focus on the subconscious, it doesn't change. It just sits there. It just sits there. And the subconscious will drag the consciousness back every time. That's why when people want to change, they feel like they end up back where they were. Does that make sense? You put a lot of effort out and then you end up right where you were. It's because the subconscious never changed. It's the misery cycle. If I put so much effort out there and I tried so hard, but I feel like I'm right back to where I'm at. It's called the subconscious. It's called a setting. It's called you didn't change your setting. You didn't change it. You didn't change it. And so this is what the biggest problem in coaching today in the world is that these coaches out there are being certified on action steps and motivation, but their people are not really changing. They're not, because they're not seeing what's happening 2 months after they get their goal when all of a sudden they drift back to where they're at. I'm not into that. I'm not into drifting back. I'm into like changing. And I hope you are too. Tell me in the chat box, do you want to be the kind of coach that your clients 2 months after you're done coaching them drift back? Do you want to be that kind of a coach, or do you want to be a coach that creates change? What do you want? What kind of coach do you want to be? To me, Tell me in the chat box. I want to hear it. I want to hear it. I want to see it. I can't hear it, but I want to see it, right? Oh, there we go. Starting to talk. Because I want to be the kind of coach that focuses on the subconscious. That's the game changer. That's where everything changes. So let's say the person consciously is like, hey, I want to get this goal. And you come along with the essentials of self-mastery training, and you're like, you know what? We're going to work on it, but we're doing it this way. And the person's going to be like, oh, this is weird. I don't know about visualization. I don't know about language and my emotions and a routine. This is kind of weird. And it's like, yeah, it's weird because nobody taught you. Nobody taught you what matters in creating change. That's interesting, isn't it? Why is that? Why is it that in school, we're not taught how to change our subconscious? We're only given information. Interesting. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm right now. But it's like, this is the thing. This is what changed my life. This is what opened me up from an introvert to an extrovert. This is what changed me from being small thinking to big thinking. This is what changed me from small results to big results, is my subconscious. I've worked on my subconscious. And when you work on your subconscious and you move your subconscious, then the line moves. Then your results move. Nothing permanently changes until you change what's in your subconscious. You have to do mindset techniques every day if you want things to change.